The main conclusions are that from the internal records of the foreign ministry legal departments of France and the United Kingdom, which were the major powers in the South China Sea until perhaps the 1960s, that what we know to be the Paracels and the Spratly Islands have been traditionally Chinese. In the French archives, the key archive, from my point of view, is that in 1931, Aristide Briand, who was the most distinguished French politician and diplomat of the interwar period, he was the foreign minister of France, and he was under pressure from the Indochina colonial government to occupy the Paracel Shisha Islands. He put the matter in the hands of a jurisconsult, a special legal counsel for the foreign ministry called Jules Bastevant. And Jules Bastevant confirmed that the Paracel Islands were Chinese and that France had recognized this already. I think the most outstanding archive has to do with in 1971 to 1974. The British did then a very intensive historical examination of the situation of the Spratly Nansha Islands. And they then, their legal advisor produced a comprehensive systematic report considering all of the claims of different countries to the South China Sea Islands and decided that the Chinese claim was the only credible one with respect to the Spratlys, and that this is a memorandum from the Foreign Ministry Legal Department that went up to the Cabinet Defence and Overseas Committee and was approved by it, that from a legal perspective, the Nansha Islands were Chinese. The American documents indicate something quite alarming and very important, which is that they have no interest in who owns the South China Sea Islands. I don't find any legal consideration of the American position. They simply say that it is not in the United States' strategic interest to allow China to occupy the South China Sea Islands. The idea of instigating a conflict through the Philippines has plenty of advantages of wearing down the Chinese and making them appear to be aggressors and isolating them from the European Union and making even more difficult China's trading relations with other countries. So there are these two contesting views about the basis of title. The dominant view about the law of territory is that a state can, through the conduct of its state organs, which means basically its navy, its army, its political officers, can make a formal claim to a territory, impose its flags and other signs, insignia of statehood on the territory, and occupy it and exclude other countries. And then that territory belongs to it, provided that the territory was not owned by anybody in the first place and when the state came to occupy. That's the Western view of the law of territory. But at the same time, the Chinese and many other non-Western countries consider that there is a different foundation for the claim to territory, which is that it has been the homeland of the citizens or the nationals of the country. So that the Paracels and the Spratlys are part of China because Chinese fishermen have been going there for centuries and treating these islands as part of their homeland and using them as a basis for going fishing. Now, I was able to find, and this is perhaps from an international law point of view, especially academic point of view, the most interesting part of the research, I was able to find evidence that this was also the British and the American view as the true and genuine and most appropriate title to territory, was that it attached to the state whose nationals were treating this territory as their homeland. The British argue in their legal memorandum of 1974 that the Spratly Islands are part of China because Chinese fishermen have been going there for hundreds of years. And the archival material that I collected on this battle shows that in the 19th century, there was legal discussion in Britain and the United States about the basis for title. And they also, legal advisors, particularly an opinion of the Lord Chancellor of England, was that the ownership of territory would follow the activity of the nationals of that country. Through an accident of fate, I was at a meeting of the Chinese Military Academy in September and met with military attaches from the European Union, and they cordially invited me, after I told them all about my little book and my research, they invited me to come and discuss it with them. And I discussed it last Wednesday in the embassy of the European Union to about 20 military attaches, and it was well received. On the key issue of the American motivation for engagement in these questions and the American attitudes to law, one of the delegations said that they had, on behalf of their government, conducted a year-long research, internal research into all of the aspects of the South China Sea, and they had come to the same conclusion that I had expounded in my book, and they confirmed that they were in complete agreement with everything that I had said. And I was informed afterwards by the organizers of the meeting that the reaction had been very positive. And at the end of the meeting, a number of delegates, defense attaches, came to me and to take the details of the book with a clear intention of purchasing it and studying it. So I think that for me was a key development. And I was at another seminar on Friday of this last week, where then a senior Filipino official expressed alarm that the Philippines was being manipulated into a war with China, very much the same as the Ukraine had been stimulated by America to get itself into a war with Russia, and that this would be disastrous for the Philippines. So it is quite serious, in her view, the definite American policy to push Marcos II into a war with the Chinese. Well, my main job is become much broader, and always was broader. I have referred to already in my interview with you this morning that there are very contested views about the law of territory in international law, and the Western view that developed and became clear in the context of imperialism, when the West was acquiring, seizing territories in the so-called non-Western world, the non-European world. There was that it was activity of seizure of land by state actors. And the non-Western view, held also by my own country, is that territory is the homeland of people. We are aiming to rethink the whole approach to international law and order, and I think we're helped very much by the initiative of the Chinese government and Xi Jinping that there are pillars of inter-civilizational culture which should found the basis for international order. Greco-Roman culture alongside ancient Chinese, Confucian and Taoist culture, to reconstruct the foundation of international legal order. That is my main task. That was the subject of the 10 lectures, public lectures that I gave in the Peking University. Also my own works on the philosophy of international law, 2 of them are being translated into Chinese, and we hope to publish them. So my aim is to change the direction of Chinese international law teaching away from following the model that is at present adopted in Europe and North America, to having a new approach that reflects the dynamics of the BRICS countries and the Global South. That's quite a big ambition, of which this work is a significant part. It's only one item, but it's actually a hot point on the planet at the moment.